Why don't you do it?
Senator John Kennedy just handed RFK Jr. a 4-word question he had no answer for. Kennedy is not a Democrat. He is not a political enemy. He is a Republican senator from Louisiana, and he sat across from the man who has spent the last year calling ultra-processed food a poison, a crisis, a threat to American children, and he asked the only question that actually matters. If you believe all of that, why haven't you done anything about it? RFK Jr. had no real answer, and that moment tells you everything about where the Make America Healthy Again agenda actually stands.
Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Secretary, one of the more beneficial things that I think your agency has done under your leadership, in my judgment, is to educate the American people about ultra-processed foods. But it's still too complicated. How can your department go about uncomplicating it? I mean, the American people are busy. They're busy earning a living. And they don't have time to sit down and research the definition of an ultra-processed food. Rather than listing all the ultra-processed foods, which of course would invite litigation and consternation and gnashing of the teeth, how can you come up with a list of things that people should look for on the label to know if it's ultra-processed? For example, sodium. If it's got more than this amount of sodium, it's ultra-processed. Does that make sense? Do you understand my question?
I think it's not only a question of I understand, but it's a question that my agency's put a lot of thought into. There has been no workable definition of ultra-processed food before we came in here. That's regulatory malpractice. We now
there has or hasn't?
There has not, never.
Well, why don't you do it? If with respect, why don't you do it?
We already did it. So our regulations are now, we've developed the definition within our agency. It's now, before the rule gets finalized, it's in the interagency process. There are other agencies that have equities like USDA, Department of Commerce, OMB. They have to review our proposal and then approve it. And I would say, Senator, in the meantime, people should eat real food. So,
Bobby, let me stop you because I'm going to run out of time. Look, here's the problem, and I commend you for what you've done. But the American people don't have time to sit down and read a rule or regulation by the federal government. Where I'd like to see you end up on this is not list any particular food items, but say here are 10 ingredients that constitute ultra-processed food. And if it's got sodium above a certain level, it's ultra-processed. If it's got such and such, something real simple that can be communicated. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense, and we're doing exactly that. Once we get that definition of ultra-processed food, then we're going to go to mandatory front-of-package labeling. And it will be a very simple label, something like they use across Latin America very, very successfully: red light, green light, yellow light. And so people will be able to see the green light, and that's food that's good for you. And if they do the red light, don't eat it. If it's the yellow light, if it's late at night and, you're watching the football game, maybe you can...
Okay, let me stop you. I like the way you're headed. I'm sorry, but my time's limited. Please continue with that. It will be enormously beneficial to the American people. Your agency, across all the sub-agencies, grants a lot of grants. Do all of them have provisions that overhead is capped at 15%?
Well, those would be the grants to the universities.
No, your department issues a lot of grants.
Yeah.
And the agencies under your department. Are all of them, do all of them contain the 15% cap?
They will contain a 15% cap.
Okay. Finally, this is a question for CMS. Dr. Oz isn't here. An executive order was issued some time ago that says every hospital has to publish conspicuously a list of 30 main procedures and the cost. Most of the hospitals haven't done that. Those that have done it, you have to click 27.3 times in order to find it on their website. Only 27 hospitals have been fined for not doing it. Why aren't we doing more? The hospitals are ignoring.
The regulation was passed during the last days of the Trump administration. It was not enforced during the Biden administration. We now have promulgated final regulations. They're already promulgated. That requires the hospitals not only to post, but to certify. So they're legally bound by that. And there are draconian punishments for them. And we've already sent out, I think, 1,000 warning letters.
I'm out of time. Thanks, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mr. Secretary.
What you just watched was not a partisan attack. That is what makes it so significant. Senator John Kennedy, a Republican, a Trump loyalist, a consistent supporter of this administration, sat across from HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and exposed the single most damaging contradiction in the entire MAHA movement. RFK Jr. has built his public identity around one central claim: that ultra-processed foods are poisoning Americans, especially children. He has said it on 60 Minutes. He has said it in Senate hearings. He has written about it, campaigned on it, and used it as the moral core of everything he claims to stand for at HHS. And Senator Kennedy, in 4 words, dismantled all of it. Because the authority is real. RFK Jr. oversees the Department of Health and Human Services. He has the Food and Drug Administration inside his chain of command. The FDA has the regulatory power to review and revoke the generally recognized as safe status, the GRAS classification, of food additives that have never been properly tested. Former FDA Commissioner David Kessler filed a formal citizen petition months ago asking the agency to do exactly that, targeting corn syrup, refined starches, and dozens of other ultra-processed ingredients. RFK Jr. went on national television in February and said, "We will act on that petition." That was February. It is now April. Nothing has moved. No formal regulatory action, no rulemaking, no timeline. Just more press appearances and more speeches about seed oils. The response Kennedy got in that hearing room was the response the American public has been getting since day one: process, channels, science building, engagement with stakeholders. These are the words of a bureaucrat, not a reformer. And the contrast between who RFK Jr. claims to be and what his agency has actually produced is no longer something that can be explained away by the complexity of federal regulation. He has been in office for over a year. He controls one of the largest departments in the executive branch. The gap between his rhetoric and his record is now the story. What this moment signals is that the patience inside the Republican coalition for MAHA's slow walk is beginning to run out. Kennedy's question was not hostile. It was genuine. It was the kind of question a frustrated ally asks, not an opponent trying to score points. And that is more damaging for RFK Jr. than any Democratic grilling could ever be. When your own side starts asking why you haven't done what you promised, the clock on your credibility starts ticking loudly. Watch what happens with the Kessler petition over the next 60 days. Watch whether HHS publishes any formal regulatory guidance on ultra-processed food ingredients before the midterms. That is where you will see whether this hearing was a wake-up call or just another moment that gets absorbed into the performance. If you think the people running your government should be held to the same standard they use when they talk to you on television, you already know what to do. Share this. The people who need to see it probably won't go looking for it themselves.